There. Now, the Irish singer-songwriter Sinead O'Connor has strongly criticised the Catholic Church in Ireland and the leadership of the Pope. In an article for the Washington Post, she says that she believes in God and is a Catholic by birth and culture, but that the Church's handling of child abuse cases has been so inadequate that she says that Irish Catholics should avoid going to Mass. It's perhaps another sign of how serious the dismay is within Catholic communities and the Church itself over paedophile priests. Go anywhere in the world and you're likely to find an Irish priest. But now the country which has for so long given so much to the Catholic Church is at the centre of its biggest scandal. A government inquiry last year found some Irish bishops put their church's reputation before the interests of their flock, actively covering up clerical child abuse for 30 years. The Pope summoned Irish bishops to Rome for a lecture in February. Then, in an open letter to the Irish people 10 days ago, he upbraided the Irish church hierarchy for what he called serious mistakes made in responding to allegations. But the scandals go far beyond Ireland and touch the Vatican directly. Last week, it was alleged that Pope Benedict, then known as Cardinal Ratzinger, had prevented the church trial of an American paedophile priest in the 1990s. One British Catholic commentator voiced the dismay of many believers.
In a sense, if popes can have egg on their faces, I would have thought that he had egg on his face. I mean, it has come back and to haunt him, exactly what he accused the Irish of. He could almost now be accused of the same thing.
Sinead O'Connor has gone further. She says the Pope's letter is an insult to Ireland and Catholics should boycott Mass until the Vatican takes responsibility for the abuse scandal. Well, I'm joined now from Dublin by Sinead O'Connor and here by Austin Ivory, who was formerly spokesman to Cardinal Cormac Murphy O'Connor. Sinead O'Connor, first of all, why was the Pope's apology not enough for you? Why did you see it as an insult?
Well, I, amongst the majority of Irish people, felt that the letter did not address the issue of the Vatican cover-up. That the actual cover-up has been documented in 4 reports: the Murphy report, the Ferns report, the Boston report, the Philadelphia report, all of which state very categorically that there was a cover-up operated from within the Vatican and with instructions from the Vatican. And if I may, I'm going to read you a brief little statement from 2 of the reports. The Murphy report into the Archdiocese of Dublin handling of complaints of abuse concludes: the Dublin Archdiocese preoccupations in dealing with cases of child sexual abuse, at least until the mid-90s, were the maintenance of secrecy, the avoidance of scandal, the protection of the reputation of the Church and the preservation of its assets. All other considerations, including the welfare of children and justice for victims, were subordinated to these priorities.
Right, right. I'll come back to you in a second, Sinead, but I just want to put that to Austin Ivory.
Sure,
I mean,
okay,
you know
sure,
about the Ferns, the Murphy, the Ryan report, the other reports that Sinead O'Connor is talking about. We've covered them on this programme. This is so serious that this apology to many people, believing Catholics, is just not enough. Absolutely not enough.
Well, I understand that. I mean, if you've been abused, of course, in a way, no apology is ever enough. And what happened 20 or 30 years ago, as the Pope himself said in that letter, has no justification. But, you know, it's very hard to see how that papal letter to the Irish could have gone further. Utter condemnation of the abuse, a condemnation of the Irish Church for putting its reputation before the welfare of young children, a commitment to it never happening again, a special investigation of the way the Irish Church has handled it. It was very hard to know what else it could contain.
Well, let me ask, Sinead, what more should the Pope do?
What we feel here is that the letter sold the Irish hierarchy down the river. It suggested over and over that the Irish hierarchy were acting independently of the Vatican. That is simply not the case. They were acting on explicit instructions which were issued by the Vatican in 1962, which remained the rule until 2001, which involved the taking of an oath by both clergy receiving complaints and victims making complaints, an oath of silence on threat of excommunication. The fact is that 10,000 lemmings can't be wrong. Page 58 of the Philadelphia report states, church leaders have employed well-orchestrated strategies for decades and in all parts of the country to keep sexual offenders in ministry while minimising the risk of scandal or legal liability. And just one tiny point I would say is, if there was no cover-up, why is it that today, up to this date, not one person has been punished by the Pope or the Vatican for not having gone to the police?
Well, first of all, many priests have been led laicized as a result of the direct action of this Pope. So there have been plenty of punishments.
No, there haven't been punishments for the cover-up. The cover-up, no one's been punished.
Can I clarify this issue of the cover-up? Because this is really, really important, because this is the heart of Sinead O'Connor's, I think, very irresponsible article, which is that somehow that the Pope ordered a cover-up by demanding in this 2001 document that cases be treated with confidentiality. The reason he did that was very simple, which was to allow victims to step forward and make accusations. In other words, it was precisely to protect victims, as well as, of course, the reputations of the priests, until they were found guilty.
Some victims were told effectively to sign a vow of silence. You will not talk about this, which sounds like a cover-up.
There were legal agreements made many, many years ago. That was certainly what Cardinal Brady has apologised for. But again, in that case...
Who's the Primate of all Ireland?
I'm sorry, the Primate of all Ireland. In that case, that again was to allow confidentiality so that the victims could step forward, precisely so that the priest could be dealt with. No one has done more than this Pope to ensure that these cases have been speedily dealt with. And that is the lie that is at the heart of this article, in which the Washington Post, I think, has been extremely responsible in reproducing.
Sinead, a lie at the heart of the article.
OK, well, could I just say again, it's very, very simple here. First of all, if there wasn't a cover-up, why did Cardinal Brady feel that he could say, quote, I was under no obligation to go to the police, unquote, in 1975 when I made these children take this oath, which says that for no reason, even that of a greater good or a highly or serious reason, will I break this fidelity to secrecy. And the obvious question is, darling, if there was no cover-up, why has the Pope not punished one person involved in the cover-up? I can see what you're saying, that the abusive priests themselves have been punished, but no punishment has been handed out by anyone from the Vatican to any other member of the clergy who was involved in the cover-up.
There has been a severe reprimand by the Pope of the bishops, and the bishops themselves have accepted that 20, 30 years ago these cases were not dealt with in common with other institutions. This was not talked about. These cases were dealt with, as it were, behind closed doors, and indeed often not dealt with at all. That is the shame that the Catholic Church is now dealing with, the historic shame, which it has now long since put right. The guidelines in the Catholic Church in this country, as elsewhere in Europe, are exemplary, and a young person is safer in a Catholic institution than in any other comparable institution. There has been no cover-up by the Catholic Church. There has been been no cover-up by the Pope, been no cover-up by the Vatican. These are local church issues that local churches fail to deal with them, and the Vatican has done its best now to speed up those cases which have not been dealt with locally.
Sinead O'Connor, the Vatican has done its best to speed up.
That's just absolutely dishonest. It's a complete lie. It's treating Catholic people like idiots. We're not stupid. We're not half-wits. You're treating us as if we can't read the reports, that we don't know what's been said in the documents. It's no coincidence that the same reports all over the globe have reported the same thing.
I'm afraid you're simply misreading the documents, Sinead.
No, I think you haven't. I think you must have read the documents.
The secrecy which you keep citing, this idea of secrecy that you keep citing, refers to Church's own procedures for dealing with particular crimes to deal with the sacraments.
But all of these reports can't be wrong.
This is very important. They never prevented, nothing the Pope or any of these church documents ever prevented was bishops going to civil authorities, as indeed they now always do.
If what you've just said is true, why has no one been punished for not going to the police?
Okay.
Why has the Pope not punished any of the bishops who did not go to the police?
Bishops have resigned.
All the reports can't be wrong. All the reports can't be wrong.
Thank you both very much. Thank you.